Hey, wait a minute. What on earth are you doing? My husband, with a smirk on his face, carried the wheelchair and kicked it forcefully towards the sea with a loud clatter. Overwhelmed by shock, I raised my voice. What are you doing?
Oh, with this, your wheelchair is gone, right?
But that's because you...
Listen, even if you have to crawl back, come home. You got household chores waiting for you, you know.
No way. With both legs broken, my wheelchair is my lifeline. Now that this last resort is gone, I can't even move. What am I supposed to do in this situation? I can't even go on the road like this. There are no buses running around here. At this rate, the sun will set. However, no matter how much I try, the distance I can cover is minimal. What should I do? It seems impossible to think about this. At that moment, when my spirit was about to break, an unexpected event brought a ray of light to me. My name is Samantha Miller, and I'm 29 years old. After graduating from university, I once worked for a major company, but resigned when I got married. Since then, I've been living an ordinary life as a housewife. It's been 2 years since I married Maxwell, my husband. The reason I quit my job was because of his words.
When we get married, I want you to quit your job and take care of that house.
Huh? Does that mean becoming a full-time housewife?
Yeah. I can handle the income somehow. More than that, I want to build a home where meals are ready when I come back.
But if that's the case, I could still continue working.
No. Wouldn't you feel uneasy with various things if you had a job? I think it would be emotionally easier to just do the housework.
Well, that's true, but my husband works for the company run by his father. He's in a position to become the president soon, having received a high position at a young age. In my case, there is income, and it will likely continue to increase in the future. Even if we have children, we can live comfortably with his income. Perhaps I don't need to force myself to continue working at this point. I didn't dislike my job, but it wasn't a profession I was particularly passionate about. In that case, I aim to shape the process as closely as possible to his ideal. With that in mind, I agreed to his request for me to quit my job. I decided to quit my job and become a full-time housewife to support our household. Marriage with a person I love. Newlywed life spent leisurely doing household chores. Is it really okay to be so blessed? With such thoughts in mind, we became a married couple. However, at some point, this newlywed life started to feel like a burden. The trigger was a trivial thing. One day, about 3 months after getting married, on that day, coincidentally, when I wasn't feeling well, I arranged frozen side dishes I had purchased in advance for dinner. Upon seeing that, my husband immediately raised his voice in anger.
Hey, what's this?
Huh? What do you mean?
This is dinner. You didn't make this, did you?
Yeah. I wasn't feeling well today, so I used frozen side dishes. Right after explaining that, my husband threw the side dishes, along with the plate, into the trash. Caught off guard by this sudden action, I was speechless. Huh? What just happened? He threw away the dinner side dishes? And the whole plate? Is this a joke? Maxwell's breathing was heavy, giving off a different vibe than usual. Without understanding the situation, I somehow managed to squeeze out some words. Maxwell? Why would you do something like this?
Huh? You're supposed to be a housewife, and you use ready-made frozen food, right? Are you making fun of me?
No, that's not... I'm sorry, it turned out to be pre-made. But I wasn't feeling well, and I couldn't make something elaborate.
Shut up. Is this what you call preparing dinner? All you did was arrange ready-made side dishes, right? You're not even trying to give off the feeling like you did something proper.
I'm sorry. An intense fear shook my entire body. Did he get so furious over this? I had never seen him like this before. Sure, I did something wrong. Admittedly, the side dishes were already made. But I also cooked rice, made soup, and prepared some side dishes in advance. Why is he so angry just because one side dish was frozen? I had questions for my husband, but it wasn't a situation where I could confront him. In the end, he went out to eat alone. From that day on, my husband's domineering attitude worsened day by day. I was no longer addressed by my name, but rather with
"Hey"
or
"You,"
treated like a housekeeper. Even after 2 years of marriage, nothing changed. If anything, it became worse than it was back then. One day, as I was preparing breakfast, my husband, who had just woken up, suddenly said something like this.
"Hey, hurry up and get ready."
Huh? Get ready for what?
Obviously, get ready to go out. I told you to prepare because we're going to my parents' house.
To your parents' house? Wait, I didn't hear anything about that.
Shut up. Just move as I instruct you to. Instead of making a bad meal, hurry up and get ready.
Yes. Once it gets to this point, arguing back will only antagonize him. I quickly took off my apron and began preparing to go out. I finished getting ready in about 20 minutes, but my husband's mood was worse than before. He had been complaining the whole way to his parents' house. A few hours later, when we arrived at his parents' house, they warmly welcomed us. At his parents' house, Maxwell played the role of a good son and husband, so I felt relieved. As we chatted over tea that his mother made, his father brought up a conversation with me.
"Samantha, are you having a hard time with our son?"
Huh?
"Well, I was wondering if he takes you on trips or anything. We love the sea and mountains, so we go on a drive every few months."
Is that so? I'm sure your wife must be delighted.
It would be nice if that were true. Lately, she just sleeps in the passenger seat, so it's a bit lonely.
Your wife is busy every day too. As we were having this conversation, I noticed that my husband was glaring at us with a sharp look. It was as if he was saying,
"Don't say unnecessary things."
I don't intend to expose my husband's true nature to my in-laws. I am the one who receives his abusive remarks and unkind actions, and only I know about them. Without solid evidence, there's no way I could talk to my in-laws. Even if they believed me, my husband would likely deny it. If my in-laws were to give him a warning, I would undoubtedly face severe consequences later. The best strategy is to maintain the current situation. To do that, I must avoid saying unnecessary things in front of my in-laws. I just have to play the role of a good wife, keeping silent as instructed. I repeated this to myself many times and barely managed to get through each day. Then, a week later, the incident occurred. On the way back from the supermarket, where I went to buy dinner ingredients, a car ignored a traffic signal and collided with me, causing a serious injury with both legs broken. I was taken to the hospital, and my husband should have been informed, but he never came to visit. In the end, he didn't show up even once until I was discharged, so I had to buy everything I needed from the hospital store. Since both of my legs were broken, I had to use a wheelchair for mobility. Moving it on my own consumed more energy than it seemed. The hospital was spacious, and reaching the store was quite a challenge. On the day of my discharge, I received no contact from my husband, and I returned home alone. When I got home, my husband, despite it still being daytime, was drinking beer and snacks in hand.
Finally, you're back.
In his tipsy state, unable to endure his mocking, I involuntarily raised my voice. Hey, isn't this going too far? I had an accident, you know.
Huh? So what? There were no life-threatening injuries, right? That's what I heard, so I didn't bother visiting the hospital.
Normally, when a family member has an accident, you rush to be with them, right? Do you have any idea how I spent these 3 weeks?
And what's wrong with that? Just so you know, I had to do all the housework by myself for 3 weeks, because there was no maid.
Maid? My husband clearly said that to me. Not wife, but maid. Tears welled up with anger and sadness, blurring my vision. I headed straight to the bedroom and cried myself to sleep that day. Having cried myself to sleep last night, my head was pounding in the morning. With no motivation to do anything, I lay in bed, and my husband called out from the bedroom door.
How about going for a drive to clear your mind?
Huh? Drive?
Didn't I talk to my parents about it before? Going for drives regularly or something.
Oh, yeah. But why all of a sudden?
Well, I figured you must be tired after being in the hospital. Well, it's just a change of pace.
I couldn't believe my husband was making such a suggestion. I was too surprised to find the right words. I was genuinely happy that he understood my feelings. Yeah, let's go.
All right then, get ready. I'll be waiting.
Got it. I was accustomed to operating the wheelchair, but with both legs immobile, even dressing was a struggle. Since it was cumbersome with separates, I chose a one-piece dress that I could put on easily. From the house to the car, my husband pushed the wheelchair for me. Did he reconsider because of what happened yesterday? His casual kindness warmed my heart. Perhaps Maxwell had also reconsidered. Could our relationship as a couple move in a positive direction? Although the accident was tough, if I can live happily with Maxwell from now on, there's no point in always thinking negatively. I decided to enjoy the drive with my husband to the fullest. A few hours later,
We've arrived.
my husband parked the car and took the wheelchair out of the trunk. We had arrived at a high point along the coast. Before us, the vast sea stretched out. Wow, it's so beautiful.
Right? My dad showed me this place.
Amazing. Thank you, Maxwell. As I expressed my gratitude again, my husband smiled slightly. But in the next moment, he roughly grabbed the wheelchair and moved it towards the cliff. Unable to move, I remained in the passenger seat of the car and shouted, "Wait a minute, what are you doing?" While grinning, he moved the wheelchair towards the cliff and kicked it forcefully towards the sea. In shock, I raised my voice. "What are you doing?"
Well, now your wheelchair is gone.
"But you're the one who..."
Too bad. Your legs are already gone, right?
"This is terrible. Why would you do such a thing?" My tearful cries seemed to annoy my husband, who responded with an indifferent expression.
Did you seriously think I brought you here because of my parents?
"What do you mean?"
You carelessly had an accident on your own, avoided housework for 3 weeks. It's only natural to face the consequences, right?
Careless? Someone disregarded the signal. And I didn't neglect housework at all.
Shut up. Keep your mouth shut, okay? Crawl back home if you have to. You've got some value left in you.
How could you? My husband dragged me out of the car and left me there. Then he got into the driver's seat, started the engine, and drove back along the same road. "Please, Maxwell, wait!" No matter how many times I shouted, my husband just grinned and looked at me. My pleas were in vain as he continued back along the same road. For me, with both legs fractured, the wheelchair was a lifeline. Now that this lifeline was gone, I couldn't even move. What am I supposed to do in this situation? I can't even reach the road. This area doesn't even have buses running. At this rate, it will be dark soon. However, no matter how hard I tried, the distance I covered was minuscule. What should I do? It's impossible to figure this out. Tears fell uncontrollably, and I bit my lip hard. A faint taste of blood lingered. The anger against my pitiful state and my husband's heartless actions wouldn't subside. This is not a joke. How much more does he want to belittle me? If this continues, Just when I felt like my spirit was about to break, a car stopped in front of me.
Samantha? Is that you, Samantha?
A man approached with a surprised expression. It was none other than my father-in-law. "Dad, why are you here?"
That's my line. Samantha, why are you here? And what happened to your leg?
"Oh, I had an accident and ended up with fractures. Just a while ago, Maxwell was with me."
Oh, I can't believe it. Did he leave you here?
I shouldn't have revealed the truth. Although I knew I shouldn't, I unconsciously nodded, feeling desperate. Following my father-in-law, my mother-in-law came with a blanket and draped it over my shoulders. She placed the blanket over my shoulders and with a tense expression asked me, "Samantha, are you okay?" "Mom, we happen to be at a relative's house nearby. This is our favorite beach. We usually stop by on our way home, and then we happened to see you." "I see. Turns out my husband found out about this place from his parents. I never expected them to find me here by chance."
What happened? Tell me everything.
My father-in-law looked straight at me, tears streaming down his face. Summoning the courage, I opened up about the past 2 years. Actually, until I finished speaking, my in-laws listened in silence. At one point, my mother-in-law shed tears and embraced me tightly.
I'm sorry. Our son put you through such a thing.
Please, don't apologize, Mom. I also have my faults.
There's no way you could have predicted this. You're our precious daughter. We can't let things stay like this.
Thank you, Mom. Afterward, my in-laws took me in their car to a nearby spaghetti restaurant. We had a meal there, And then the three of us returned home. My father-in-law took the lead, ringing the doorbell. My husband, without any suspicion, opened the door, surprised to see us. When he saw us, his eyes widened.
Why?
He muttered softly, and my father-in-law raised his voice angrily.
What have you done to our precious daughter? Precious daughter? I'm your precious son too, aren't I? What are you talking about? Don't spout nonsense. You're no longer my son. I won't let someone with no common sense succeed me. What? That's a joke, right? You're fired. Get out. Never show your face in front of us again. This can't be.
My father-in-law kindly told me to pack my things. With the help of my mother-in-law, I packed my belongings into a suitcase as instructed, and we left the house. When I got into the car, my husband rushed toward me with a tear-stained face. He was a mess of tears, and pleaded with me to forgive him. But there was no way I could forgive him now. Perhaps there was never any love between us from the beginning. I could finally see that. Staring coldly at my husband, I uttered these harsh words. Enough! I can't easily forgive something like this, can I? I can no longer believe in you or continue to love you. Never interfere with my life again. With those words, my husband slumped weakly to the ground. Ignoring him, we headed towards my in-laws' home in my father-in-law's car. Afterward, I decided to stay with my in-laws until I could feel my legs again. 3 months later, I regained mobility and was hired by my father-in-law's company. Naturally, I divorced my husband. After being hired from his job, he is now looking for a new job and is making do with a day job. On the recommendation of my father-in-law, I am now in the process of filing a claim for alimony to Maxwell via a lawyer. Regarding being abandoned, my in-laws will act as witnesses, so it's only a matter of time before he is held accountable for his actions. I may have made a mistake in choosing a life partner, but thanks to that, I've met wonderful in-laws. I hope to continue to cherish this relationship and repay it while working for my father-in-law's company.